A process server and his marijuana dealer wind up on the run from a hitman and a corrupt police officer after he witnesses his dealer's boss murder a competitor while trying to serve papers on him.
This is Ryan.
And this is Ashley.
And this is
Ruining Our Childhood,
a nostalgic weekly podcast where a married couple rewatches and reviews our favorite 90s and 2000s movies to decide if they hold up to our adult standards.
That is this podcast. And hi, guys.
Welcome back.
We're back for another amazing episode. I feel like I always say we're back, like it's magic.
Yeah.
They're so lucky that we came back this time.
And we took months off.
Yeah. No.
Or
we were
7 days.
Yeah, 7 days.
Yeah.
So, how's it going this week? How's your week going?
Me or the listener?
No, you.
Oh, my week's going good.
Okay.
Just enjoying my weekend.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Cleaning.
Yeah. Riveting stuff, right?
As I say, living life.
Yeah.
Living that quarantine life.
Right.
Mm-hmm. How's your week been going?
Oh, thanks for asking.
Yeah.
The same.
Same?
Because we live together and we see each other every single day.
Oh, we're not doing this on a Zoom meeting?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're face to face, my friend.
Dork.
So we hope you guys are having a good week.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And hope you're listening to this really excited to hear us talk about the 2008 classic, or some would say classic, Pineapple Express. And I think last week we might have said 2009. And when you said 2009, I was like, whoa, I think it was like 2013. 2008?
We thought it was 2013?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2008. This movie is 13 years old.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Time is weird.
It is. It passes by us.
As time does.
I feel like it was going into Days of Our Lives.
Oh.
Like, sand through an hourglass of time. So goes the days of our lives.
It really does.
I don't even know if that's the quote.
I think you messed it up.
I'm sure I did. I've never watched that show once in my life.
So anyway, why don't we head down memory road and hit me with some 2008 facts?
This movie was released on August 6th of 2008. It had a budget of $26 million and it made $102.4 million. Some popular TV shows from 2008 were CSI, NCIS, and The Mentalist.
Nice.
Yeah. The number one song the week the movie came out was Katy Perry, I Kissed a Girl. A couple other popular songs were Rihanna, Disturbia, and Britney Spears' Womanizer.
Nice.
And some popular movies were Hancock, WALL-E, and Kung Fu Panda.
So a lot of animation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I remember those movies.
I remember Hancock.
Yeah.
Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
Not that good looking.
Quote,
my brother. And he denies it, which is the best part.
We were both there.
Yep.
We remember it distinctly because we're like, who are you?
Yep. And he, to this day, he's like, I didn't say that.
Anyway.
Yep.
2008. It's another movie where we can say, hey, we saw this together.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have a little theme song like, hey, we saw this together. Da-da-da.
And you did the
more you know.
The more you know.
Yes.
Hand movement.
I did.
It was a rainbow just went by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you remember from this movie? Or I believe we saw it in theaters.
We did. I remember at this point becoming a fairly decent Seth Rogen fan because he did Knocked Up and Superbad, and then going, okay, we need to go see this.
Right.
Also, this came out right around the time of someone's birthday.
It did.
Yeah.
Mine.
Yes. But yeah, being super excited and then also learning a lot because I didn't know how many different strains of marijuana there were.
That's true. You were very in the dark about the whole marijuana thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said it like that.
In the dark. Yeah.
In the dark about the
marijuana thing.
Wink.
Yeah.
Wink.
Wink. Wink. So, yeah, when I was watching, I'm like, holy crap.
So you found this movie very educational. Yeah. And then you relied on the sources of Seth Rogen to teach you about marijuana.
He seemed to know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
So.
I would say he's knowledgeable about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I do remember this being a part of a slew of movies that had a lot of the same actors, Seth Rogen, James Franco, Danny McBride,
mm-hmm.
and they kind of dominated comedy movies for a long time.
Yeah.
You know?
Because they had This Is the End.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
I think that was more of the end of their domination, to be honest with you.
They had a nice run, though. A good, 5 or 6 year run.
Right.
I miss them. I like all of them a lot, so.
It's almost like you can watch these movies anytime you want.
And I'm pretty sure they're still making movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. Good talk, Ryan. Good talk. So do you think this is going to hold up?
I'm going to say yes, because I think Judd Apatow makes really good comedies.
Did he make this movie?
Yes, he did.
It was not directed by him.
Oh, well, he produced it then.
Did he? Okay, you're right.
Yes!
It is written by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, and also Judd Apatow helped with the story, and he probably produced it, so you're correct.
All right.
I just want to make sure, because there were some movies around this time that came out that had, Seth Rogen or a couple of people that would pop up in Judd Apatow movies that weren't actually had anything to do with Judd Apatow.
Gotcha.
So I think people just assumed it was a Judd Apatow thing,
mm-hmm.
and then it wasn't. So I didn't know if it was one of these movies.
Gotcha.
So I apologize. You're correct.
Yay,
it doesn't happen often, but it happens.
But I remember, like you said, going to see it in theaters, really enjoying it, buying it on Blu-ray or whatever it is, and just
whatever that thing is.
It might be on a VHS. Who knows? But also, yeah, when we left the movie going, that movie was amazing.
Yeah.
I hope it holds up, I should say, because I'm going to be pretty sad if we watch this and go, well, that wasn't that great.
I definitely think there's going to be jokes that do not hold up. I'm a little worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little worried to say that I think it's going to hold up because of the things that I can remember. I'm hoping, at least, that it is funnier than it is offensive.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
I know we've talked about it and we've really explored, the 2000s comedies, and there's different waves of jokes that were just offensive to a whole bunch of people. But because it was coming from a straight white guy, it's the straight white guy is better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why. I feel like these comedies started getting away from that, and it started making fun of more the leads and more self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
So it's obviously not as offensive.
I agree, because I think of a lot of movies that came out in the early 2000s where it's offensive for offensive sakes. We want to shock you with our offensiveness. Whereas I don't really remember his movies, Seth Rogen, being that type. Like you said, it's more self-deprecating, making fun of themselves, which is always fun.
Or making fun of their friends.
Type of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, making fun of the general people around them that they love.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not deep, horribly mean jokes. But
yeah.
I don't. We'll see.
I know.
Because we might be surprised.
When would you say was the last time you watched it?
Maybe 2012.
Okay.
I feel like we rewatched it before we went to go see another movie that had Seth Rogen and James Franco in it. And it might have been This Is the End, for all I know. Which I don't even know when that movie came out.
Me neither.
But 2013, just because it's listed as people also liked on realgood.com.
Oh, while you're on realgood.com, why don't you tell me where we can stream this movie?
We should really get a sponsorship by realgood.com.
Yeah, we should.
You can stream this on Netflix. What?
Nice.
When was the last time that happened?
That's crazy.
Right? I feel like we're going to go on Netflix. And
it's not going to be there. Nope.
Well, according to realgood.com, you can stream it on Netflix. You can also rent it and buy it if you don't have Netflix or you don't have somebody's password.
Not
there's
that
people
we
out there.
condone sharing passwords.
No.
No.
We don't share passwords.
Wink.
Wink. So you can enjoy this movie with the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, should we hit the pausey pause?
Yeah, let's go ahead and hit the pausey pause.
we'll come back to discuss Pineapple Express.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, and we're back. We just finished watching Pineapple Express, and we're going to go ahead and break down our movie with our categories.
Like we always do, but first, let me tell you, we went on Netflix to watch Pineapple Express, even though we do own it on Blu-ray, but we didn't want to find the Blu-ray for the 5 seconds it takes. It's leaving Netflix. By the time you hear this episode, it has left Netflix. Maybe it went to a different place. I don't know. If I can find it, I'll put it on our show notes. But yeah. Typical Ashley and Ryan.
It was funny when we searched it and we're like, oh, that leaves Netflix tomorrow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fun fact.
Yeah. But our first category is called Well, Hello There.
Well, hello there.
Where we talk about any cameos of famous or recognizable actors or actresses that we may have forgot were in the movie. And there was quite a bit.
There was a lot of cameos and such, which is what we talk about.
Who was the first one that you noticed?
Well, the first person I noticed was Bill Hader. He plays Private Miller, and if you remember at the beginning of the movie, they are showing a secret, what is it called?
Like a testing?
Like a testing facility that's underground, run by the government, and they're testing what they call like Item 9, and it just happens to be weed. And Bill Hader plays Private Miller, who is testing the weed and thoroughly enjoys it.
Yes. I love when he goes, I feel like I'm a fresh slice of butter on some flapjacks.
Yeah. And then he's just doing the the whole scene. It was a good opening scene.
Yes.
Who is your first one?
My first one is actually the general in that scene, and he is played by James Remar. He was in Miracle on 34th Street.
He was.
More recently, he has been on Gotham and Black Lightning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked familiar too. I just forgot to write him down for some reason.
I wrote him down.
Good job, Ryan.
Thank you.
My next one is Seth Rogen. We mentioned him before. He plays Del Denton, basically the main character of this movie. And you know Seth Rogen from Superbad. He's done some voice work for Big Mouth on Netflix, and he's going to be in a TV series called Santa Inc., where he's playing Santa Claus, so that's a thing.
Okay. He has one of my favorite, they always talked about Dirty Randy on the League.
Yeah.
And you're like, who's going to be Dirty Randy? And then it's Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
And that was a delightful reveal.
A good cameo.
Yeah. And I feel like you called him Del.
I meant to say Dale.
Yeah, he plays Dale. Yeah.
Not Del Ditton. Not Del Griffith. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, anyone? Who is your next one?
My next one is Jack Keeler. He plays... Dale is a process server.
Right.
And he's just a guy who gets served by Dale. But the big thing I know Jack Keeler from is he was Jimmy Fallon's uncle in Fever Pitch.
Oh, yes. I thought he looked familiar. But I didn't write him down.
Oh.
I just figured out there was going to be so many.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
My next one is Amber Heard. She plays Angela, or Angie, who is Dale's high school aged girlfriend. So that's a thing.
Yep.
And you may know Amber Heard from Aquaman, and she's going to be in the sequel. And also she was in the remake of The Stand that just came out this last couple months.
Okay.
I'm like, I
always remember her from being in Zombieland.
Yes, she was the 407 or something, wasn't it? 406.
Jesse Eisenberg had a big crush on her.
Yeah.
406 sounds correct. 426? Who knows?
Who is your next one?
My next one is Joe Lo Truglio.
Trujillo, I think.
I did not write down his character, but he's like a teacher at Angie's school.
I think it's like Mr. Edwards or something like that.
Yeah. We know him as Boyle on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Correct.
He was also on Reno 911 and Role Models. He's just a good character actor.
Superbad, yeah.
Yeah. Pops up in a lot of things.
Yeah. I Love You, Man.
Yeah. Let's go, Galaxy. But he does it much more squeaky voice. Yeah.
My next one is James Franco.
Ooh, who's he?
Also the lead, or I guess co-lead. He plays Sal, who is Dale's drug dealer. And you may know James Franco from quite a few movies. Disaster Artist, 127 Hours. He's got a couple projects in the works. Nothing that looked too exciting. He's doing a short of a William Faulkner short story, so that seems fun.
Yeah.
He likes William Faulkner.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My next one is Rosie Perez. She plays Officer Carol Brazier. I always think of her as the Woody Harrelson's girlfriend from White Men Can't Jump.
Right.
But she's also more recently been on the TV show The Flight Attendant on HBO Max.
Oh, yeah, that looked interesting.
Yeah.
With Kaylee Cuoco.
Mm-hmm.
My next one is Gary Cole.
Mm-hmm.
He plays Ted Jones, who is, I guess, the head of the pot business.
Yes. The head of the pot business.
Yeah, he's the one the bad guy in this, obviously. You may know Gary Cole from a lot of things. He literally is in every single thing you could ever think of. But most notably as the boss in Office Space.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, he is a reoccurring character on The Good Wife and The Good Fight, which...
And it looks like he's right now on a TV show called Mixed-ish with Mark Paul Gosselaar.
Oh, yeah, that's like the spinoff of...
Blackish?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about Tracy Ellis Ross's character. It's like her childhood.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
They're just spinning off on that show.
Yeah, because
left and right.
Don't they have Grownish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
ABC's like, hey, this is popular. Let's beat it by making 2 spinoffs.
We like money.
Yeah.
Let's make more money.
Yeah. Money's nice. My next one is Craig Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
He plays Matheson. Craig Robinson was Daryl on The Office.
Yes.
And he's also in one of our all-time favorites, Hot Tub Time Machine.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Great White Buffalo.
Yeah, that too.
That too.
Also, he has a reoccurring character on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is my favorite.
Yes. And his sister was played by...
Nicole Byer.
Nicole Byer.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, who's going to play his sister? Delightful, not a letdown.
Yeah.
And who was your next one?
My next one was Kevin Corrigan.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how you say his last name. He plays Buddy Levosky.
Mm-hmm.
Or Budlowski.
Yeah.
It's just one name. I don't know why I said Buddy. Budlowski. And he's one of the henchmen with Craig Robinson. They're like partners. He's been in a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, he's kind of part of this whole group with like Seth Rogen in them because he's in a lot of those movies.
Mm-hmm.
He most recently was in The King of Staten Island.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been on Community. And when I was younger, he was on a show called Grounded for Life with Donald Logue. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah. I remember that show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I watched it, but I remember going, that show looks funny. And then
Them shows look funny.
them shows look funny. If you listen to our Are You Afraid of the Dark episode from this past week, I reference Professorson, and that is who plays him on Community.
That's true.
Yeah.
Who is your next one?
My next one was Danny McBride. He plays Red, who is Saul's drug-dealing friend, I guess.
Well, yeah, like it's his middleman. It's his supply person.
Yeah. But Danny McBride was on Eastbound and Down, and more recently he was on The Righteous Gemstones, which was a TV series with John Goodman.
Did you know he helped write the 2018 Halloween?
I did not.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he's writing the sequels.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
I don't know why I said that. I did not know that. My next one is Ken Jeong.
Mm-hmm.
He plays a character named Ken.
Ooh.
So,
A big stretch.
right? You may know Ken Jeong from a lot of things. Hangover, Dr. Ken, Community.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have more than 2 Community references. And he has several projects in the works.
I saw his singing competition show, the one that he hosts.
Uh-huh.
That just got renewed.
Oh, nice.
I
Good
think
for
it's
him.
I Can See Your Voice. I think is what it's called. Yeah. My next one was Bobby Lee.
Yes.
He also, big name change here, plays Bobby. He's a comedian. the big thing I remember him from was the TV show Love.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with Britta from Community.
It all ties back.
Yes, it does.
And Harold and Kumar. And apparently in the newer Magnum PI reboot.
Oh, okay. Is that still on?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It looked okay.
I like Jay Hernandez.
He's handsome.
He is.
Yeah.
Our faces.
Like,
I wish you guys could see our faces.
Who's your next one?
Oh, I thought it was your turn.
Nope.
My next one is Nora Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
She plays Shannon, who is Angie's mom. We've talked about Nora Dunn on the podcast. She was in Bruce Almighty, a recent episode of ours. And, of course, she is from SNL. She had a stint on New Girl where she played Schmidt's mom.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Those are all the things I know her from.
Yeah.
Yeah. My last one is Ed Begley Jr. He plays Angie's dad, Robert. I always remember him as being on Veronica Mars, but more recently he's been on Young Sheldon.
I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have two more, actually.
Oh, dang.
So, Cleo King, she plays the liaison officer that catches Dale selling pot to kids.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts listening to his story and she believes him until Sal screws it up. But she was in The Hangover as the officer.
With Rob Riggle.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
she was also in New Girl as Officer Dorado that had to do the...
The fish.
Yeah. I thought her name was the fish because she is tough but fair, like most fish I know. Winston. And then she's more recently been on Grey's Anatomy, but she's been in a bunch of stuff. And I feel like she was in a movie that we did because I feel like I had the same, like she was in Hangover and she played a police officer in New Girl.
Because I definitely remember saying she yells at Bradley Cooper like every damn time.
Yeah.
I remember saying that on the podcast.
Yeah.
So
I
it was
can't
one of the
remember.
movies we did.
She has an impressive resume,
Okay.
and I just glanced. And then the next one is another person, and it is actually the person I was trying to think of like a couple episodes ago when, was it Grace Albertini Dow?
Yeah.
Connie Sawyer. She plays Sal's
Bubby?
Bubby. She was the lady in Dumb and Dumber that steals his stuff in the beginning of the movie
Okay.
and yells at him. She's in the cart.
Yeah.
And she was also in When Harry Met Sally.
All right.
Yeah.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. Her name sounds very familiar.
Yeah. She recently passed away, and I guess she was also in an episode in A New Girl, too. So
Oh, okay.
that's why I think I confused her with Ellen Albertini Dow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Rapping Granny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're both known for playing grandma-type characters.
Yes.
So. Do you want to move on?
Let's take a quick break.
Ooh, good
and
plan.
Then we'll move on. Okay, and we're back. Why don't you tell us what our next category is?
Don't tell me what to do. No, I'm kidding. The next category is called Kids Would Call It a Throwback. We call it the prime of our teens, where we talk about fashion, dated references, and offensive jokes. What did you think about the fashion?
I thought the fashion was pretty interesting. Specifically, Saul. He is dressed quite bizarrely. His pants look like they came straight from 1970.
They looked like he got it at a market, like kind of the hemp clothing type.
Yeah.
They looked comfortable also, and I feel like Sal as a character is all about comfort,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And he's wearing something that I wore a lot of around this time period, which was the long sleeve thermal shirt with a t-shirt over it.
Yeah.
I was totally
His t-shirt didn't
guilty.
have like a shark with like a raccoon coming out of it or something.
Yeah.
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 I could be wrong. It was something weird like that.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the movie, when we're introduced to Sal, he's really friendly with Dale, and they're sitting there, and Dale's trying to get out of there because he's mentioned in the beginning of the movie that he doesn't want to be friends with his dealer.
Yeah.
It's a weird relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of enticed him to stay, and then somebody else rings his doorbell, and that guy, the way he was dressed, it was another client of Sal's. He's wearing the biggest jorts I've ever seen.
Yes.
It was amazing. I don't know where this movie is set.
I don't either.
Because I think at one point Sal mentions Clark County. So is it set in Nevada, maybe?
I kind of wondered that, but then the houses didn't look like anything I would expect to see in a suburb of.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it wasn't set there.
Yeah. And just because the guy was dressed like he should be an extra in Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It was great.
his friend had a sweet rat tail.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, those jorts were on point.
They were.
Mm-hmm.
And he got the Snickle Fritz,
Yeah.
which was the shitty weed.
The shit weed.
Did you have any other fashion?
Yeah. Red.
Yeah.
He's wearing a shark tooth necklace.
Right.
And then he's also wearing a kimono that has like dragons on it.
Yeah.
And he's just.
I guess when you're a drug dealer, you're just really eccentric. You know?
Yeah.
You don't have to go into an office. Wear what you want.
Be comfortable.
Yeah. Be you.
I feel like that's like a Calvin Klein ad. Be you.
Wear that shark necklace if you want.
When I was a kid, I totally wanted a shark tooth necklace.
Why?
I thought they were cool.
I don't know. I said like.
You're like, why?
Why?
Because it looked neat.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, Ryan. Ryan, okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about dated references?
It has a great dated reference, and that is, I thought hurricane season was over. And Saul just keeps saying it because he's watching an episode of 227.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why he laughs at that line, other than he's high.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what half this movie is. You're like, why are they doing that? Oh, because they're extremely high.
Mm-hmm.
At the very beginning of the movie, Dale is driving around. You're kind of introduced to the fact that he's a process server and that he kind of takes joy in disguising himself and serving people various things. But he's listening to a radio station, or he's calling the radio station. They're talking about how pot should be legal and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, that's technically a dated reference because a lot of states have it legalized now, and it's not as big of a hot button issue anymore, you know?
Very true.
We're living in a different world now.
Mm-hmm.
Dale would be happy.
Yeah.
Sal, maybe not. Unless he'd, be getting into the opening up a shop business,
That's a good point.
you know?
Yeah. Because I agree. He would probably not be too excited about it unless he went that route.
Yeah.
At one point, unfortunately, Sal and Dale have a bit of a falling out.
Correct.
And Saul throws money at him so he could buy dinner. And he's like, supersize it, bitch.
After he throws some change.
Yeah. I don't think you can supersize it anymore.
I have no clue. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Did you have any offensive jokes?
I surprisingly only had one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, we mentioned earlier that the police officer catches Dale and Saul selling drugs to teenagers.
The children.
Yeah. And Saul tells the teenagers what the strain of weed's called, and it's Pineapple Express, and the one kid can't remember it, so his friend calls him the R word. But that was surprisingly the only one I had.
I mean, it's offensive to me as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like closer to the end of the movie, Dale calls Angela to check up on her because this is after the scene where he goes to her house to let her know that these drug dealers might be coming to her house, and shocker, they do.
Mm-hmm.
So her parents are in a hotel, and he calls to check up on her, and she's obviously upset because his shenanigans got her into this mess.
Mm-hmm.
And I shouldn't say shenanigans because I really feel like this whole thing was not his fault whatsoever.
No.
In the beginning, you know? But we'll talk about that later. But he has obviously some insecurities about dating an 18-year-old high school girl because, she's around all these hot young guys and he's this 25-year-old schlub that she's dating. He's like pushing her away and he's like telling her, you're going to become a lesbian in college and, all this stuff, which I thought was slightly offensive in the sense that there's nothing wrong with being lesbian. And also, you're just, being a dick to your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he, I liked a little bit earlier when he tells her to go to the hotel and he's like, check in under a fake name, like Garagerly, because they're in the garage.
Yeah. Couldn't think of a name.
Yeah, so it's like gradually.
Yeah. Other than that, it wasn't very offensive. I think I kind of had guessed that a lot of the jokes would be more about pot
Yeah.
and bromance. This is definitely the start of the bromance.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not the very start of the bromance, but it's very heavily on that friendship between Sal and Dale.
Yeah. I did think there was going to be a lot of offensive jokes, though,
Yeah.
and I was a little surprised.
Same.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on?
Yes. Our next category, we're going to go ahead and go to the payphone to call Angie at the hotel and talk about some technology. What pieces did you notice?
Well, other than Dale calling into a radio station, which it's weird. Do people even do that anymore? But he has a flip phone that also has a ringtone, like a legit music ringtone.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that I totally forgot existed for a second, because I feel like a lot of people have gotten away from it.
Do you remember when they used to run commercials on TV where it was like, call this number to get this ringtone?
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like the name brand, like Verizon had their own little shop, you know?
Yeah.
It was like a random...
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember that.
They were very popular commercials.
Yeah.
I felt Saul's apartment was just amazing because he had a ton of vinyls. He had satellite radio, like a telescope.
He was so excited about that satellite radio.
Yeah. He was watching TV on a boxy TV, but above it was a flat screen normal television, and it was just on pause.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he was watching 227 on the old TV.
I don't know. It was an interesting setup.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, he works from home. So,
His whole apartment just looked like he bought it at a thrift store.
yeah.
Yeah.
Along with his pants.
Yes.
I do like in the scene where Dale and Sal are at Red's for the first time, and Dale doesn't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
He's acting a little shady, and come to find out that Red is gonna turn on them and tell the henchman that Dale was the one that found or saw the murder happen, all that jazz. He throws his cordless phone in the toilet, and later Red's like, "You assholes ruined my portable phone." That's the funny part.
That scene had another good one, which was Red hitting Saul with a dustbuster.
Yeah.
Like he just grabs it off the wall and just hits him with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How dare you flush my portable telephone down the toilet?
Yeah. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much all I had as far as technology. What about the soundtrack, music?
There was some good songs. I remember that song Paper Planes by MIA, but I looked it up because I was like, I don't remember it being in the movie.
It was in the trailer.
It was only in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the song that I think I most associate with the movie is Electric Avenue by Eddie Grant, and that's just because Dale's driving around at the beginning serving people left and right, and that song's just playing.
Yeah. At one point, I believe it's Craig Robertson and Kevin Corrigan.
Mm-hmm.
They're driving up to Angela's house, and they're listening to Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a Ryan favorite.
Is it?
Yes.
It was an Ashley favorite.
Oh, we would have been friends growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who else loves that song?
Who?
Your brother.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why I like it.
Yeah.
That was pretty much all I had for this category. Oh, go
I
ahead.
did want to note that the song that plays during the credits, it's called Pineapple Express, performed by Huey Lewis and the News.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
How'd they get that?
I think he's good friends with Seth Rogen.
Oh, I don't know if I ever paid attention to that song.
Right when they start playing, like you go, that sounds like a Huey Lewis song because it's just the instruments are playing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got that sound.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to move on?
Sure.
All right.
The next category is called Is It Even Good?, where we talk about the plot holes, and we talk about our cringiest and funniest moment of the movie. I switched those for some reason. We won't switch them in the actual delivery.
Gotcha.
So the plot, we've kind of mentioned it. Dale, stoner, process server, is going to serve papers at Ted's house, and he witnesses him murdering a man along with the cop, Carol.
Yes.
So, that's confusing. I confused it like he did when he was telling Sal the story of it, because Sal's like, that's a lot of people that died. That's like a massacre.
I will say, in a lot of movies, someone witnesses somebody get shot, and I feel like Dale has the most genuine reaction. He is freaking out.
Yeah.
And it's not just because he's stoned or anything like that. He's like, holy crap, he just shot that guy.
With good reason. He's just living his life.
Yeah.
He's just trying to do his job. And at the time, he's kind of just chilling in his car. And that's not a fun thing to witness.
No. And also, he freaks out for like 20 minutes. It's not like, next scene, everything's normal. Like, no, he's like, holy shit.
So, you know, at the beginning of the movie, he sees this. He accidentally drops the joint, which has Pineapple Express in it. And come to find out, Pineapple Express is very rare. Only Sal had it. So Ted, who is the mastermind behind this business, knows who has it.
And he knows only one person had it to, sell.
So then things escalate from there. And I kind of almost forgot how action movie it is.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to the plot holes?
Yes. I surprisingly feel like I only had one.
Okay.
You know, we mentioned Dale witnesses a murder. At the end, there's a big shootout on a barn. And after the shootout...
On top of the barn?
At a barn.
In the barn?
Some might even say it was on a farm. But Dale, Saul, and Red go to this diner, and they're waiting for Saul's bubby to come pick them up.
Yeah.
Part of Dale's ear's been blown off. Saul's nose is clearly broken. Red's face is covered with black soot because there was an explosion.
And he's been shot twice.
He's been shot twice. Half of Dale's pants are missing. Somebody would have called the police.
Right, that's the thing I noticed. Like, the extras were just carrying on like these were three normal dudes just sitting in the diner having breakfast.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
I'm like, somebody's gonna go, I don't think that looks right.
Yeah. I didn't really have any issues with this movie because I did like that they kind of at times made fun of action movies a little bit, because first of all, it's like mistaken identity, because not only did he witness this murder, the Carol and Ted are under the impression that he works with the Asian drug dealers who are in major competition with Ted, and they think he's some sort of like mastermind, because they mistake all of these flubs or these coincidences for something that is planned. But I do like throughout the movie, there's times where situations that have happened in other action movies, but when they happen in this movie, they're like much more realistic. Like when Sal steals the police car with Dale in the back, he tries to kick the windshield out because it's covered in slushy, I think.
Yeah.
And his foot gets stuck, which is like, that's probably what would happen, right? It wouldn't, like, it just seems like in a lot of action movies, they hit the windshield and it just pops out.
Yeah. Yeah. And
perfectly.
And also, when his foot gets stuck, he's like, oh man, my groin. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, let me just take my leg back out and just go about it. Now I'm going to push it out with my hands. Like, no, he's like stuck for a while. And
yeah. And then there was another time that kind of happens. Oh, so I guess at the climax of the movie, the henchmen have Sal. They take him to the barn, and Dale and Red are headed to the barn to save him, and then Red chickens out and leaves for a little while. And Sal gets into the barn, takes a guy hostage named Pete, and is like threatening to shoot him, but then Budlowski shoots him. Shoots Pete. So that kind of didn't work out. Usually it would be like, oh no, the bad guys we gotta drop your guns, everybody. But yeah. And then I also like later in the movie, he's like, that Dale guy shot him. He shot him. He's like, he shot this guy who was ex-CIA? And he's like, yep. It
Yep.
wasn't anybody else. It was him.
That's a good point. I didn't really, now I'm sitting here thinking of different moments where they didn't go exactly how they would go in a traditional action movie.
Yeah, because usually the lead in a traditional action movie is almost perfect, has perfect execution in everything that they do.
Yeah.
But obviously Dale is a fuck up,
Yeah.
so it works out better.
Very true.
Did you have anything else you wanted to discuss as far as plot holes?
No, that was the only thing that I had, and I felt like I was really stretching to come up with that plot hole.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't really have anything like nitpicky, but I think it's because it is a comedy movie and it's got like half of its foot in reality and half of its foot in non-reality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it works. What was your funniest line or moment?
There's a scene where Sal, you keep saying Sal, and I think it's Saul.
Oh, whatever.
Okay, so there's a scene where Saul and Dale are hiding in the woods because they're like on the run at this point. It's kind of towards the beginning, and they're bonding. And Saul tells Dale, he's like, they always say don't stick your pen or dip your pen in company ink, but I'm totally glad I dipped in your ink. They just have such a silly friendship.
I think it's obviously throughout the movie, because we mentioned it earlier, that Dale doesn't want to have a relationship with Saul. Now you're going to make me question it every time I say it. No, it's okay. But because they're in this situation together, Dale starts to enjoy his company, but he still kind of doesn't want to like fully embrace that they're friends. Where like Saul is, he's open to a friendship with him.
Yeah. He's all in on it.
Yeah, he's kind-hearted, and he just wants to be there for him.
Yeah.
Oh, this could have been the technology portion, but when Dale, I didn't even say the right character that time. When Dale comes to Saul's apartment to tell him that, hey, I witnessed the murder, I think it's your boss, and he's connecting the dots, kind of, he throws up on Saul's printer, and he's like, you just threw up on my printer. Is it going to work? It just made me laugh.
Yeah. That was actually my second, I was like, which one should I pick? And I picked the other one.
I also liked when, at the end of the movie, when Matheson decides to shoot Budlowski, because they have this running bit between them as partner henchmen, that Matheson, Craig Robertson's character, thinks that Budlowski is too soft because he just wants to go home and hang out with his wife or go to dinner. And that's what leads Budlowski to shoot that random henchman named Pete, because he was sick of hearing from Matheson that he was too soft. So he shoots Budlowski because Budlowski's going to let Sal go. And he's just like, screw it, I'm going to go home to eat with my wife. And he shoots him and he's like, dinner's going to be cold tonight. It was just a funny line.
Sick burn.
Yeah.
I had made a note that was the only thing I put.
What? Dinner's
gonna be cold tonight. And I just made that note.
Yeah.
It was under my random thoughts.
Yeah. Nice. What was your cringiest line or moment?
There wasn't a lot, but Red mentions that his cat died 3 months ago.
Yeah.
But he's celebrating his cat's birthday because people do that. Then later on, Saul, Dale, and Red are in a fight.
Yeah.
And Dale falls headfirst into the kitty litter box. And even though the cat's been dead for 3 months, there's still poop in the kitty litter box.
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Mine was actually in that same area of scenes when Saul and Dale go to Red's house, and he's been already visited by the henchmen, so they hit him in the face, so he has a cut lip, and he's trying to convince them that he has herpes. And then they're talking about the story about how he ate a sucker that was in a stripper's vagina, and then it just goes worse from there. And I was like, gross.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that was pretty gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were so happy about it too, and then it made me chuckle, and I was like, ugh, why am I laughing at this?
Because it was funny.
Yeah. Also, the close-up of Dale's ear when it gets shot off, it's pretty gross.
Yeah. Some Evander Holyfield ear.
Yeah. Did you have any random thoughts that you needed to talk about?
Yeah. Ed Begley Jr., Amber's dad, he's a freaking nut job.
Yeah.
Because he just comes in and starts shooting at Saul and Dale for literally no reason.
I mean, he hasn't made the best impression as a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he is dating a high schooler.
Right, but it doesn't warrant the shooting.
No.
I think that might be it. There's quite a few funny parts that we haven't discussed, but, rewatch the movie because there's still quite a few chuckles.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to move on to our final thoughts?
Yes.
Or do you want to take a break?
Let's take a quick break.
Okay.
Okay, and we're back. As always on Ruining Our Childhood, it is award season. We give out 2 awards every week, the first of which is a valedictorian to the Nicolas Cage Online School of Bad Acting. Whom did you give your award to?
I had a hard time with this one because I don't think anybody in the main cast was necessarily bad, but I ended up giving it to Amber Heard.
Same.
Angela. And I think for me, it was not anything against her acting. It was just more on the lack of character and reasoning for her character. She is basically just your average plot device to show, I guess, I don't. It's weird because I'm like, you could say that Dale is a creep for dating an 18-year-old, but I also feel like he's such like a good-natured person that I don't think it's like this ill intent thing.
Yeah.
You know? I think he's just trying to live his life. I don't even know how they met. Did they even mention? So I'm like, how does that happen? Also, there's no purpose.
Yeah.
You know, to her character.
They could remove her from the movie and it wouldn't affect anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even, I don't know what her purpose was, to be honest with you.
No, me neither.
It just made his character look a little creepy.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessary because, like you said, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a bad guy.
No.
I don't think he's like a great guy.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he's a likable guy.
Yes.
So it was almost like, here, we got to make him slightly flawed. We'll have him date a high schooler, but we're pretty sure she's 18. And
yeah, and they make several jokes about it. And
yeah. The only thing I wanted to mention about her was when she kind of calls Dale and they're talking from the hotel, she tries to cry when he's breaking up with her. And I felt like that was some cringily bad acting from her.
Yeah.
I'm nitpicking because also I didn't think anybody was too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Do you want to move on to the next award?
Yes.
The next award is the Thomas J. Hanks Award for Exceptional Acting. Who did you give your award to?
I actually went back and forth at kind of different times, wanted to give it to one person, but I settled on giving it to Danny McBride as Red. There's so many parts of this movie, like when he grabs a shotgun and pumps it and then says Thug Life.
Yeah.
That's the moment I always remember from this movie.
It was like a breakout moment for him.
And then just him and Dale standing there and they're practicing pulling their guns.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, and they just keep saying, stop.
It's so awkward.
Stop.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, I have to give it to him, is when they're having the massacre at the farm, he comes driving in a Daewoo.
Yeah.
And he kills Craig Robinson.
Yes.
And he just goes, you just got killed by a Daewoo Lanos, motherfucker. And I think of all the people I went to high school that drove Daewoos.
A large amount?
A lot of people. I felt like because it was probably a cheaper car, but then your parents could get you a new car.
Yeah.
A lot of people had Daewoos.
In our school, there was like at least 4 or 5 Tempos. I was one of those people.
I was one of those.
Yeah.
I didn't get it till I was out of high school, though.
Oh.
Whom did you give your award to?
I also went back and forth. I did like all of the main characters and the way they played their characters. I did end up giving it to Seth Rogen as Dale Denton because even though I think like this is more or less him playing himself, I don't know Seth Rogen personally, but I think if there was one character in all of the movies he's played, this is very similar to his character. Or maybe even his character in Knocked Up. He's very much a very chill kind of man baby And he was easy to relate to. And even with the iffy, I think like the early 2000s leading man would date an 18-year-old and it would be creepier because he would see no problem with it. Whereas at least Dale at the end of the movie goes, yeah, why are you dating me? And don't tell me you want to marry me because I'm really shitty.
Yeah.
You shouldn't want to marry me. You're 18.
Mm-hmm.
And it like clicked in his head. He's like, you're immature too.
Yeah, I almost gave it to him and then also almost gave it to James Franco. They were all equally fun and important to the story.
Yeah, and I think those three, Danny McBride, James Franco, and Seth Rogen, had really good chemistry together.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've been in several movies together, so it works.
For sure.
So, do you want to move on to our final thought of, does this movie hold up?
Yes. And yes.
That was a weird way to answer that.
Because it's like, I felt like you were asking me if I wanted to move on, so I'm saying yes to that. And yes, I think it held up.
Okay.
I was a little surprised. I thought it was going to be cringy at times. I didn't feel like that. There wasn't a lot of offensiveness to it. I just thought it was a really fun movie. The big thing that I kind of forget about, and you mentioned it, is how much of an action movie it is at times.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly well done.
I think so. I think what helps it is that it does make fun of itself a little bit, or it makes fun of scenarios of, or cliches in action movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when they're trying to escape through the vent in the underground area of the Ted's barn drug house. There's a lot of things going on in it. But I liked that the vents were like super dusty. Because in some action, like Die Hard, it's like perfectly clean. Like I know it's probably a newer building, but you know that shit's got to be dusty already.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
I agree that it's still really funny. Cringiest part is that he is a 25-year-old dating an 18-year-old high school girl, but they make fun of it a lot.
Yeah.
You know, multiple characters say, that's kind of weird and you're a creep. So I guess that kind of works out for it.
Yeah.
Kind of goes for it more than against it in my eyes. But yeah, still found myself cracking up quite a bit.
I was going to say, I laughed a good majority of the movie, and it was really well acted. Rosie Perez is good. Gary Cole's good.
Yes, Gary Cole, yeah.
I did want to knock Gary Cole for when they're at the barn, he's climbing down a ladder, and then he jumps off, but he was standing on, like, the last rung. So he jumped, like, a foot, and he acted like he jumped from, like, the 5th rung.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing, Gary Cole?
What are you doing, Gary Cole?
Come on. Don't act like that was a big jump. But it was a good movie. Very good.
I agree. So, that's it for us, guys. Maybe I'll pull up this old thing. Do we know what we're doing?
We got to decide we're in the semifinals, guys.
We are in the semifinals. And the first up, give me a second because I actually didn't fill out the bracket all the way. So first up in our final 4.
Yes, final 4.
I already forgotten you just said it. Is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back versus In the Army Now.
Who do you think's going to win?
I'm going to say it now. I think In the Army Now is going to be the ultimate loser.
Same.
I'm going to guess it. We're very close to the end. We only have
4 movies.
Yeah, 4 movies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to say that's it.
I agree. I think Jay and I'm very surprised Jay and Silent Bob is still around this late into the tournament.
I am too, a little bit.
Yeah, I thought they would be an early exit. I think I had them going out the first week.
Did you?
Yeah. I figured people were going to be like, that's a good movie. They should do that.
Apparently not as many Jay and Silent Bob fans. Well, they did go up against Dogma.
That's true. Yeah.
So, anyway. We're just chit-chatting away. So, thanks for listening to another episode of Ruining Our Childhood, guys. Again, vote in our polls Thursday on Twitter at ROC Movie Podcast and Instagram
on Friday
at Ruining Our Childhood. And don't forget to check out ruiningourchildhood.com for show notes and learn how to join the Ruiners Club and buy merch and do all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. And have a good week.
Have a good week, guys.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.